Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. My name is Suleiman. After weeks of convulsions and political back and forth in the ruling APC, the leadership crisis in the party appears to have quietened down a little bit. And all attention in the party now seems to be focused on its forthcoming national convention, still scheduled for this Saturday, 26th March. Expression of interest forms for various offices of the party's National Working Committee, from the position of the national chairman to that of the national youth leader, have been on sale since the week before last. News reports earlier this evening also indicated that the party has completed screening of the aspirants vying for various party positions. However, the issues of who gets what within the party remains. The political center of decisions about who gets what has shifted from London back here in Nigeria. The president and APC's 22 governors reportedly held a meeting earlier today to decide on the question of zoning and consensus candidates. But it is still not clear yet who or what has been agreed. So tonight we ask, how will the APC decide its National Working Committee? Will it be by open elections or by consensus? Who will win and who will lose out? With me to discuss these issues is Barrister Yusuf Sani Maitema, a lawyer and APC stalwart in Jigawa State. Also with me is Mr. Oluwasegun Oyo, an APC member and leading member of the campaign team for Malam Saliu Mustafa, who is, of course, a contender for the national chairmanship of APC. You're welcome, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
But we'll take a minute when we return, a short break. When we return, we'll jump right into it and bring you more analysis and deep insight into what is happening in the ruling party. Because as you know, when the ruling party catches cold, all of us will sneeze. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. And we're discussing issues around the APC convention, which is just roughly 2-3 days away. So, Barrister, as a lawyer, probably that's a good place to start. So many of the issues that have happened within the party in the past few weeks, at least they have reduced, the court orders, the leadership changes, the no leadership changes, the Boni Part 1, Boni Part 2, and so on and so forth. Now it appears we're going to actually have a convention,
Right.
To what extent can Nigerians be sure that this convention is going to hold?
Assalamu alaikum, Jama. Well, actually, the Nigerians should be rest assured that the convention is going to hold. Mm-hmm. Definitely, inshallah, it will go to hold. Mm-hmm. Because in every political setting or every democratic setting, there must be up and downs, But with a good leadership, foresight, and determination, things will stabilize as it is now. APC has had its own political up and downs. But as it now, I'm talking to you now, everything has been settled, almost to zero level. We're on course, all the aggrieved people, all the aggrieved groups have been.
So who is the caretaker chairman as we speak now?
As I speak to you now, the caretaker chairman is the Honorable, His Excellency, the Governor of Yobe State, Mai Mala Buni, is the National Caretaker Chairman.
Okay.
Yes, please. So that is part of the politicking, actually. In every democratic setting, there must be some rancor. But with a very good leadership, everything will come to normal, as it is now. The rancor which has happened in the APC some few days or some few weeks ago it has now been overtaken by events. It has been settled down. So definitely the convention will be held on Saturday. There is no going back on that. And I believe, inshallah, it will come successful.
Thank you.
Yes.
So but the question of good leadership to settle issues, as which has helped to settle issues, as Barrister Yusuf Maitama has said, is precisely why some people have been worried, and have been catching cold, or sneezing, as we said earlier, in the country. Because you're talking about leadership. The highest leadership in the APC is that of the president himself, who occupies the highest elected office within the party. But we saw only a few weeks ago that on 2 different occasions, following each other, decisions were taken that were said to be by the president, and these decisions were entirely contradictory to each other. To what extent can we say of that as good leadership? And what is there to, what guarantee do we have that tomorrow something may not change again, even before the convention?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think the weather is too hot for people to be catching cold. But yes, there was a decision that was made by the president, and I think that decision was changed. But I think the focus should be moving forward. For now, May Malabuni remains the caretaker chairman of the APC. For now, he, along with the caretaker committee members, are going to conduct the convention that will hold on Saturday, the 26th. So I think all the party members and the people who are aspiring for various offices are completely focused on, campaigning and securing the required number of delegates to achieve victory. So it's not to our benefit to dwell on the alleged leadership change and rechange that happened in the past. I think it's in our benefit to look forward. At the end of the convention, we can look back and do an assessment of, what went wrong and what went right, and put things in place that will ensure that rancor like that doesn't ever happen again in the party. For me, I'm a surrogate for Malam Salim Mustafa, who is an aspirant for national chairman. And one of the things that he wants to do is ensure that the APC is it's an institution. And I think when you create an institution, it's hard for rancor and issues like that to ever come up. So we just have to look forward, and that's my belief.
Okay, but it's okay to speak about not having any issues or not having rancor or moving ahead with more. But the leadership crisis was defined by interest within the party.
Right.
So even if you have settled the crisis, those interests have not gone away. Right. They're still there. So to what extent can we expect that those interests would not manifest themselves in the convention proper, particularly since we're talking about consensus?
Well, actually, if you look at the act which has been passed by the National Assembly and the President has signed it, that there are 3 options. First of all, by consensus. Where the consensus cannot take place, then there is direct primary.
Okay.
So, and another thing is, I can be a candidate today, and tomorrow I said I drop down, just without going even to the consensus side. As some of the, if you look at it, some of the candidates, somebody has stepped down. Just last week, people are stepping down now, for some reason or the other. But the best way out is for people to, cast their vote to the one they want to elect. That one happens to me sometimes, actually.
Okay.
I was the first democratically elected gubernatorial candidate in Jigawa State when the Jigawa State was created in the year 1991.
Okay.
But what happened at that time, I'm sorry to say that.
No, go ahead. There's something we might learn from.
What happened at that time, they wanted to enforce a candidate. just about 3 days to the primary, there was a powerful delegation from Lagos at that time, during military regime, at that time. They came to my uncle and telling him that he should call me to step down for someone they wanted to install. He said no, he wasn't the one that asked me to contest the election. It is the people. So let him call me. They called me. I came before them, and they said, this is the message from Lagos. They wanted me to step down for somebody else. I said, who is that somebody? They told me. I said, that not to send, even if I send down. The opinion polls shows that if there's an election today, I will win the election, inshallah. And then followed by 1, 2, he's going to be number 4. If I step down, he's still going to be number 3. So there's no point for me to step down. They said, yes, they have all that in mind. They have own calculation. I'm the one who hasn't anything to blame for.
Okay. So did you eventually step down? And
No. I'm just telling you. Just telling you. I don't have anything to blame.
Okay.
But the second runner-up, he was once managing director for certain organization in Kano, old Kano State and Jigawa State. So he has a white paper on him. So definitely they are going to disqualify him.
Okay.
Another runner-up after him, he was also former secretary of the NPN in former Kano and Jigawa State. So he's also a banned politician. So if I step down, they disqualify these two. And the last person will be the gubernatorial candidate. Then I told them that, no, even myself, I have to make consultations. So they said, okay, you should come back 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning the following day. So after a day, I came back around 9 to 10 o'clock, just 2 days to the primary. They said, what is the decision now? I said, I consulted my people, and they said I should not step down.
So maybe we'll come back to that just for a minute. We are 2 days away, just like in his own case,
right?
Now, in 1991. Maybe the people involved may have changed, but it's the same politics.
Right,
it's the same Nigerian politics, isn't it? So we're 2 days away from the convention now. Are we looking forward to other contestants stepping down? For example, more specifically, Malam Saliu Mustafa, people like Al-Marakura, who can we expect some of these big names in the contention to step down for someone else?
So I can't speak for the other candidates. I know my principal, Malam Saliu Mustafa. I don't believe he has any intention of stepping down. He's fully focused on the national convention, and he's working hard to ensure victory. Going back to his experience, I think one thing to point out is that in our party constitution, it allows for consensus, indirect, and direct primaries. The concept of consensus implies that all the other aspirants have to agree to the consensus candidate. Now, in the event that one doesn't agree, then you just have to scrap that consensus and just go into direct election or indirect primaries. So it goes back to having credible leadership structure in a political party. Once you have that in place, you won't have agreed party members, because if I listen to his story and he tells me he's an agreed party member, I can relate to what he's saying, because he probably spent a lot of resources, campaigned a lot, and to have that opportunity. I mean, I don't know if he would have won or not, but the opportunity to, win was taken away. So that's why we need credible leaders, not just the chairman, but just the National Working Committee and the National Executive Council. We need credible people in there.
So now, we have a new electoral act. part of the provision of that Electoral Act is that if you're going to have a consensus candidate,
Right.
then other contestants for the same office will need to write
Right.
some agreement that they
Yeah.
too have accepted and agreed to the consensus, just like Mr. Oyos mentioned earlier.
Right.
So even though that is for national offices, would it apply in this case, or should it apply to political parties
It
individually
applies.
as a lawyer?
It applies to every election, be it party primaries or the national election. It's just the same. The law cannot say it is for this side and not for this side. It's a general application. It applies to any election. If today I stand for election and all of us here stand for election, then if I wanted to step down for you or for him or for no one among you, I have to write a consent letter that I'm withdrawing my candidature from so and so election. That is how it is.
And that part is the part of what the provision that was deleted, Section 84 is not, because it's a different.
Yeah, I think the Section 84, subsection 12 has to deal with political appointees.
Yes.
kind of
Right.
you know, ministers, commissioners, things of that nature. So I think it's different to what you're talking about.
Of course, yes.
But I think a court in Abia State has struck that out. I'm not sure if that has been appealed.
That one is for political appointees.
Yeah, that's for political appointees.
My question is, would that apply to the APC as a party? Rather, because the law, the electoral law, I think, would apply not to how APC people conduct their elections, but how the national elections are conducted.
As far as I know, that Section 84, subsection 12 has been, struck down by court. So we just have to go with what the existing law is. So I think ministers can...
No, not that. The idea that if somebody wants to, I don't remember the section, and maybe that's the problem. But the idea that if you want to be, that if three of us are contesting for the same office now,
Right.
then and we want you to be a consensus candidate, then the other two of us will have to put
Have
it
to
into
write
writing
consent,
and sign.
writing. Of course, yes.
Okay.
So how is that going to affect the APC convention, given the idea that the president has already endorsed a candidate, particularly for the national chair? That's
No, I don't
question.
believe the president has endorsed a candidate.
okay.
I think that's a speculation. He has not come out to say he has endorsed a candidate. I do know that he had a meeting with the progressive governors today,
Okay.
and I know that he's having a meeting with the aspirants for national chairman, today.
Okay.
So if a consensus candidate will emerge, I think it may happen today or sometime tomorrow. But no, he has not publicly endorsed any candidate.
But the governor of Kebbi State, when he came out, that was the first thing that he said, that the meeting that they held with the president was actually to, discuss and talk around consensus. He mentioned that to reach a consensus.
All right. But having
So how does
consensus,
this affect the candidacy of other
having
people?
consensus, that is not a problem at all.
Okay.
But to enforce, that is a problem. If three of us, as I said earlier, come to agree that let's make a consensus within ourselves, choose one person. Then we agreed within ourselves that you are going to contest. There's no problem with that. I write a letter of consent that I withdraw my candidature, and he also write the same. There's no problem with that. But the only problem is that if I said no, I ought to contest, and he said yes, and either the government or the party said we don't want, this is our candidate. This is imposement. They impose a candidate against the will of the people. That is where the problem lies. As I told you, that it happens to me, and later and the result was bad against us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imposition of candidates is actually a very good and effective way to actually destroy a party. And I think it's something that we should shy away from. I think it's applicable across the board, across the different political parties. I think it happens, here and there. I don't think it's prevalent in the APC. But like you said, the governors had a meeting with the president and they discussed consensus. What matters is what the aspirants agree to. It doesn't really matter if the governors, have agreed to, have a consensus candidate. The aspirants have to all agree. And if they don't agree, it's perfectly okay, because, they spent a lot of money buying those forms. They want to see
I was definitely going to talk about that, but go on.
If they want to see the process through, they should be allowed to see the process through. Testing your popularity is actually good for democracy. You get a chance to sell your ideas, show people what you stand for, the kind of character you have. And if they subscribe to it, then they vote for you. If they don't, they vote for somebody else. But it allows people a choice. Democracy is all about choices. People should be allowed to make a choice, which is why imposition of candidates is terrible for democracy, any political party.
So the endorsement by president, would that constitute imposition?
There's no endorsement. I don't know.
What if the endorsement happens? Would it be imposition?
You've said endorsement a couple of times now. The president has not come out to say, I've endorsed the candidate. It's a speculation. I think it's a tool by certain politicians or candidates to promote or propel their chances. It's a fallacy. There is no endorsement.
Okay, Barrister,
Right.
he's dodging the
No, I'm
question.
not dodging it. I've categorically said the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the leader of a party, has not come out to say, I endorse XYZ. When he does that, then we know he has endorsed the candidate. Endorsement doesn't mean that...
hypothetically, if he does that, would that constitute imposition of candidates on the party?
Hypothetically, if he does that and the other aspirants do not subscribe to it, and that quote-unquote endorsed candidate is made the chairman, then hypothetically, yes, it will constitute an imposition of candidate. But the president is a Democrat, so more than likely he will not impose a candidate on us.
I was suspecting that, that's all right, that's a political speak. But maybe we can go beyond the issue of candidate, because that's just one of the issues.
Right.
The other issue is also zoning here, zoning there, zoning here. Both parties, both the PDP and the APC, they seem to be gripped in the politics of zoning lately.
All right.
Where are we seeing this all over again now?
Well, actually, the question of zoning, if I can remember, started in the year 1994, 99 Constitutional Conference. I was a member of that Constitutional Conference. It was said that the Nigerian structure should be into 6 zones. Some people or some group of people came with that idea that they wanted the Nigerian structure Nigeria be structured into 6 zones. That is, starting from the west, southwest, south, and southeast. The northern part, northwest, north central, and northeast. That is 6 zones. And at that time, they said each zone should be given a chance to govern. If this zone produces a president today, to rotate within the 6 geopolitical zones. That was how it started. At that time, I was fortunate to be in every state. 3 people were chosen to come and defend or to challenge the system. I was among the 3 who was given their destiny from Jigawa State. The opinion or most of the people that stand for that, whether to believe in it or to withdraw or to reject it, a lot of people rejected the idea because it's unconstitutional. It happens during the UPE, is that the party, UPN?
Okay.
During MPN, UPN.
That was Awolowo's party.
At that time, they wanted to make things to be zonal, maybe within the party, in the northern west, in the southern, southwest, or in the Nigerian context. But in the constitution, it's unconstitutional to zone a particular election within the, not even within the 6th geopolitical zone, but within any other zone. It's unconstitutional. Up to now, it's unconstitutional. It's not in the constitution. During the 1994 Constitutional Conference, it was agreed that instead of 6 geopolitical zones, there are 2 zones. It was in the Constitution that there are 2 zones. South, yes, it is the whole southwest, western Nigeria, middle western Nigeria, eastern Nigeria is 1 zone. And then the whole north is 1 zone. At that time, it was agreed that if a president come from this, let's say from the southern zone, it's a 1 zone, then there are 2 vice presidents. The first vice president will come from the zone where the president come from. And then the second vice president will come from the other zone. In case of impeachment, death, or mental incapacitation. You see, that is how it was. Okay. But definitely, as our present constitution now, it doesn't talk about zonal structure, you know. So it's unconstitutional actually to talk about zoning. Let every popular candidate come out and contest the election.
So, Mr. Oyo, this is where we come to. Why are both parties? Why are politicians in Nigeria? You know, an observer would ask, why are they afraid of elections? Because that's what politicians do. They go into elections. Why are people? Do you want consensus for party leadership, consensus for candidates, consensus for this? Why not just throw the door open for everybody and let Nigerians see what each person can do?
Yeah, I think for the most part, politicians are afraid of elections because primarily elections in Nigeria and the most part of the world cost a lot of money.
Okay.
And you know, they feel it's risky to spend all that money without a guarantee of victory. And now, for me, I think there are like 3 types of voters. There are the commercial voters, people who collect money and they will give you their vote. The voters of conscience, people who actually vote their conscience, look at the candidate, what he stands for, and then vote for him if they like him. And then there are people who don't vote. I think as a political party and as a nation, we need to figure out how to get more people, involved in politics, joining political parties and participating. The voters of conscience, we don't need to worry about them because they actually know the right thing, they are doing the right thing. Now, the commercial voters, that's where the trouble is for us as
So which category from these 3, which is larger, which constitutes the larger section of voters in the country?
I don't have any data to say which is larger, but I think regardless of what percentage the commercial voters are, even if it's 5%, 10%, 20%, it's still doing a damage to the fabric of our democracy. We need to figure out a way of, minimizing that, so eliminating it altogether. So elections cost money, and politicians want to make sure that there's a guarantee that if they spend that amount of money, they will secure victory. It's sad and unfortunate, but it's the reality.
Thank you. But maybe we've just come to about the mid part of the program. So maybe after the break, we'll be discussing issues around, the expectations within the convention itself, the challenges between the next NWC when they emerge on convention day, and of course the presidential primaries of the APC. But all of that will be in a moment when we return after a short break. So far we've been discussing issues around preparations towards the APC National Convention coming up 2-3 days from now on Saturday, 26th March this week. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we're discussing issues around the forthcoming convention of the All Progressive Party, that is Nigeria's ruling party. And with me, Barrister Yusuf Sani Maitama,
Right.
and also Barrister Mr. Oluwasegun Oyomo.
Yes.
And we're talking around how both of us, what is likely to happen, what is going to happen with issues around consensus candidates, issues around zoning, but more importantly, what happens after the convention. The convention itself is not the end. The end is to win the 2023 election. So what happens then? Maybe we can begin there. What challenges do you think lie ahead of the incoming APC caretaker? We're no longer going to have national leadership, isn't it? National Working Committee, because the party has been in the news for quite a long, for quite, several weeks now.
Right.
And mostly for the wrong reasons, this challenge is there, that challenge is there, and so on. So there is that one to deal with. But then there is also an opposition lying in wait to deal with. And then there is also, preparations towards elections. So what are the challenges for the next, whether they emerge by consensus or not?
Well, actually, some of the challenges are speculations, mere speculations, actually. And the real challenges, as I told you earlier, has almost been settled now.
Okay.
So the party itself is now on the ground, and there are some, discussions, consultations, and definitely when it comes to the convention, you will be surprised. Things will come, as it has been, expected. Very clear. There's going to be a very clear and sound convention. And I believe, inshallah, everything will be okay.
Well, it's one thing to have a good convention.
Right.
It's another thing for the convention to yield the kind of outcomes you want.
Right.
So what challenges or what outcomes can we expect from the next national working committee?
When you conducted a good convention, this shows you that everything will go smoothly. There's going to be a good leadership setting, and the leaders will, put the party in its sound footing. So I believe there's no problems, no wrong, no ups and downs. Everything will go smoothly as has been, expected. So there's no problem at all. I believe everything will be fine.
Okay, but Barrister, okay, go ahead.
So the question you asked about challenges, I think as long as we have a credible election process, as long as the election process is free and it's fair, every aspirant for every office has a level playing field, and that is the process that takes place. I think, clear winners will emerge. There will be no rancor because, if you lose, you've been clearly beaten by a better candidate. So in that case, we won't have any challenges. Now, if in the event that maybe there are one or two hanky-panky, which I doubt will happen, then you can foresee potential rancor and issues. But I expect that the elections will be credible, the elections will be free, and they'll be fair, and they'll be transparent. So of course, I don't see any challenges regarding the outcome of the, victory. The challenge the new chairman and the new National Working Committee and the NEC will expect to have is preparing for the presidential primaries, because they really have a short window
to do that.
Once this election concludes on the 26th, the primary cycle, according to INEC, starts first week in April and must conclude by first week in June. So they really, and I think in between that, there's the holy month of Ramadan, and I don't expect, anything to really happen then. So they really pretty much have only 2 months to get, primaries done. So the challenge they will have is putting, plans in place to properly conduct the, primaries towards the 2023 election. So the challenge I think they will have is just time constraint. And with the right leadership, they should be able to overcome that.
But you mentioned earlier that the president is having a meeting with the aspirants of the national chairmanship. Is that meeting also, designed to forestall or to avoid any challenges on Convention Day?
I wouldn't know. Anything I say would be pure speculation because I believe the meeting is happening right now because my principal actually headed over there. So I wouldn't know. Maybe later tonight I'll find out. But with pure speculation. But hopefully a consensus candidate will emerge and the candidate will be, Malam Salih Mustafa. Not only because I actually work for him, but because he's the most credible, hardworking candidate out there. Some time ago, the president said, February 11, 2022, he said, people aspiring for office, he wants them to be young, credible, hardworking, exemplary, and core progressive. And the only candidate that fits this checklist is Malam Salih Mustafa. He's had the experience over 2 decades in party administration. He has a good track record. There are no character issues that anybody should worry about. He's the kind of man that you meet and you actually, you'll be proud of. Like if you're a young chap, you would aspire to be someone like him. So those are the kind of people we want in leadership positions, people who we can be proud of and people who we know have the capability, have the background, the experience to get the job done.
Okay. So, Barrister, you said earlier that all the issues, any challenges are speculations, but the APC currently has over 200 cases across various state chapters,
Right.
where one member has taken another member, within the same party to court. Some of them over the recently concluded, or most of them over the recently concluded state congresses or local government congresses or ward congresses. How is the next leadership going to deal with these issues?
Well, actually, it's a problem, actually, yes, on that side, but...
it's no longer speculative.
And that one is not a speculation.
All right.
Speculation only comes, as, I understand it, within the convention cycle. Maybe I wanted to contest chairmanship and there's an imposement from other areas. This is the speculation. But when it comes to, if you look at the state, let's take Kano, for example. There is a problem in Kano, and it is linked up to this time. But I believe with a good leadership that will emerge, inshallah, things will be normal, It's just a question of sit-down consultation, and interest is an interest grouping. Put heads together. Then a consensus will come out of it, If you've been aggrieved, yes, I agree. You have been aggrieved, but come down and sit down and put things on the table.
Okay.
This is for me and this is for you, So it's an interest, listen. So if we sit down and put things open for everybody without any fear, and that definitely things will be all right. And I believe the NESCAM leadership will do all it can do to put things right, inshallah.
Okay. Mr. Oluwasegun, your principal is actually, will be dealing with these issues.
Yes.
Because you said earlier that maybe he's going to meet with the president. Maybe if he comes back, he'll be announcing to Nigeria that he is the consensus candidate, right? Or as you wish, he is elected on Saturday when you do have the convention. So how is he going to deal with these issues? What are the plans? What are the visions to deal with these issues? Because in Sokoto State, in Kano State, in what do you call? Even Jigawa State.
No, Jigawa we have no problem.
Well, you don't have, but as you get closer to elections, the problems will come. But also Kebbi State, in all of these states that you would expect that the APC need to win, in order to retain power. They're having lots of problems there. And it's even easier in other parts of the country, in Osun State, these issues are still there. How are you planning to deal with these issues?
Well, I mean, One of the key things that Malam Salih Mustafa believes in is internal democracy. I think if you practice and enforce internal democracy, you're less likely to, as a party member, less likely to take things to the court system. Now, these other cases are already in court. I think if I had to guess the best approach, it would be to call those parties back to the table and figure out a way to, let bygones be bygones. Now let's try to figure out how to resolve this internal issues that we have. Some of it are deep-rooted, so maybe it would be best to just let the courts handle them. But the ones that the leadership, the new leadership structure is able to resolve, I think it would be in the best interest of the party to, have these things resolved. The thing is this, like, things like this should not even get to the court if we had, like, if we had a proper party institution. A lot of these issues in court are because of imposition of candidates. If you have councillors or chairmen or secretaries at the local government or state level imposed on you, no election was conducted, and you will be aggrieved, especially if it's a position you've been seeking. So that's, like I said, quickest way to destroy a party is just impose candidates. So I think we just need to look forward and make sure that we have a structure in place whereby, internal democracy, the party supreme, is something that we strongly believe in. Cases in court, let's see how we can bring those parties back into the party and have these things resolved. If not, just let the courts take their course.
In addition to the court cases, there was also this reconciliation committee that was set up and by the party, and which was being led at the time by the Senator Abdoulaye Adamu and former governor of Nasarawa State.
All right.
Now he's in the ring to become the national chairman.
All right.
Does that make him more, competent in pursuing this reconciliation than other party members? Since he's been, that's part of the argument from his side. It's a fair question. Yes.
Well, I don't think so. Actually, putting somebody coming out from, who wanted to contest election doesn't mean that he is the best among all others. Choosing the best depends on the, delegates. They are the ones that will going to decide, not my experience or whatever I wanted to put before the people. It depends upon the people to decide. So putting him on age on other aspirants, that is not withstanding actually.
But
Yes.
people are making the argument that he possesses, he's the only one who can match Dr. Yechio Ayu. I'm sure you have heard that argument, and not from me.
Well, I don't think so actually. I don't think so because it depends. That is what I'm telling you. People are the ones to decide.
Okay.
In any election, in any free and fair election. You can be the chairman tomorrow. That is the choice of the people. But if they have somebody in mind and you chew on the line and choose whatever you want to choose, and that is another thing.
Okay, so I'm sure you are waiting eagerly to respond.
Yeah.
Yes.
He can match Dr. Ayu, the PDP chairman, maybe in terms of longevity in government, but staying long in government doesn't mean that you have the required skill set to manage a party. If you think about the key things that are required to manage a political party, people seem to believe that you have to be a former governor, you have to be a senator, things like that. I don't believe in that. I think you just have to have party administration experience, which is exactly what Malam Salih Mustafa has. Being a former governor, being a former senator is not a required skill set to manage a political party. And I don't see we're looking for a party that's a party chairman, a party NWC that can connect to the younger generation. The numbers for the younger generation is humongous. We need to reach out to them. We need a chairman, NWC, that, they can take this party to the future. Unfortunately, I don't think, he will be the best. I don't think distinguished Senator Abdoulaye Adamu will be the best chairman for a party right now. I think, we need to move beyond this whole governors. I mean, I respect them. They do a good job for our party in their respective states. But when it comes to party administration, I think we should give it to people or allow people who have the experience, compete. The senators can compete all they want. Like I said a couple of days ago, it's almost like they gave you a job as a senator. The job is to, represent them in the legislative house for 4 years. You haven't finished that job, and you're seeking something else. I have kids. I know you probably have kids. If you have a task at hand, you need to complete it so that your kids see you and, okay, dad has a job and he finished his job. That's exactly what I want to do. But these guys, they haven't finished their job. I think they should finish their job and then at that point seek something else. If they get the chairmanship by some stroke of luck and APC wins the 2023 election, I mean, who's to say that they won't abandon the chairmanship and seek something else? It is possible. We need to have a chairman who is dedicated, who is going to be focused on the job at hand, and that is administering the affairs of the APC.
Okay. So, Barrister, maybe just about we're just getting to the end of the show now.
Right.
The PDP have already started selling the forms for nominations to various offices, senator, governor, president.
Yes.
Some candidates have already purchased, some aspirants have already purchased those forms already.
Right. Yes.
Does this put the APC at an at a disadvantage, even as a ruling party, given that we're only 2 or 3 months away from the conclusion of the primaries, according to the new Electoral Act?
Yes, I don't think so. Cannot put the APC on the disadvantage side because if you look at the timetable, we are going to conduct the convention very soon and the selling of the forms will start immediately after. So unless and until you overreach your time, for example, the INEC set a timetable that wasn't so period and to this period, this is where we want you to conduct your primaries or everything. But if you pass over that time, then that is the problem. But I believe APC will conduct its primaries within the shortest possible time, that to reach the time. So I don't think there's any problem at all. Yes.
So maybe about our final question before we just leave on the show. The APC has taken the decision to zone the chairmanship, the national chairmanship, to the North Central, which is, where Malan Saliu Al-Makura, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, Senator Tanko Al-Makura, but also Senator Sani Musa and several others. They're all from this North Central region, Senator George Akume and on. That means the party has taken one decision on zoning. Should Nigerians look forward to another decision on zoning, for example, zoning the presidential candidates?
Yes, the party did zone the national chairmanship to North Central. I think it's in the interest of, should I say, fairness, ensuring that every zone has a chance to, participate in our democracy. I'm not sure what they would do regarding the presidential election. I believe, more than likely it will be zoned to the south. And yes, the national leader of a party has started campaigning. I believe former governor of Imo State has also started campaigning, and governor of Ebonyi State also declared interest. There are other people who have been speculated to be interested. We are yet to see them step into the ring. So I don't want to speak to what the NWC will do, the new NWC will do. I'm not a member, I'm not contesting. So we just have to wait. to see how that plays out. But I mean, for me, finally, we're definitely excited in the aspiration of Malam Salih Mustafa.
Okay.
It's really exciting for us young party members on, you know, the candidate and what he represents. We've been patient because of the delays here and there, but we've been prayerful and we've been working hard, and God willing, his candidature will be successful.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, Mr. Oluwasegun Oyowo, for coming on the show. You know, thank you also, Barrister Yusuf Maitama Sani, for coming on the show. We hope that one day, very soon, we'll maybe by next week, when we already know what the result is like, we can invite you on the show to have another round of discussion. Thank you also, viewers, for staying with us. It is because you are there that we also try to be here. And we hope that we will meet here again tomorrow for another edition of Daily Politics. Thank you. Good night.